Yeah, it needed more ponies. Written by Shadowflame. Read by no one, nobody, and others.
I need more ponies.
I ask her out on a date. Why? Bang. Am. Bang. I. Bang. So. Stupid. Bang. I slammed my forehead against the door of my locker again and again, out of pure disbelief of my own stupidity. The other high schoolers of Lone Peak just passed by me in the hallways, though I'm sure some did raise an eyebrow or two at my behavior. But then again, this was high school, and almost anything could be considered normal here. They just see it as Lyle Anderson being upset with himself over something. Most likely a question he missed in American history class, or something else of the nerdy sort. Now, you might be wondering why I'm trying to give myself a concussion right now. Well, that's because, at the moment, I felt like the most pathetic person on the planet. You know that girl you heard from me about, Emily Clearwater? You know how I was going to try asking her out? Let's just say I failed. Hopelessly.
I was even in pony form, for Pete's sakes! The one form of myself that knows Emily on a name-to-name basis! Yeah, I'm so bad with girls that I can't even get myself to introduce her to my human self, just so I can ask her out on a date.
Actually, now that I think about it, my life as a high schooler is very abnormal. I'm not sure if I should be worried about my sanity or what, because by now, I honestly think Angela has been putting hallucinogens in my school lunches. Sorry, that's a different story for a different time. I sighed to myself as I slammed my forehead against my locker one last time, out of stupidity.
What's wrong with me? This is the 4th time I've shown up on Emily's doorstep as Roman Writ, and I can't even come out and get her to meet me as a human.
I groaned.
Heck, she was even snuggling me last night. That felt amazing, though.
I shook my head.
Yeah, my life has officially gone beyond the point of sanity.
Lyle?
A feminine voice spoke from beside me, a touch of hostility in her tone.
Oh, crap.
I glanced up to see Angela, arms folded across her pink t-shirt, and scowling at me, with a bemused look on her face.
Oh, hey, Angela,
I said half-heartedly. I was too bummed out with my own failure to take the borderline witch as cautiously as I probably should have. Angela did not look pleased. No, in fact, she looked quite pissed.
I don't even need to ask what happened last night at Emily's, do I?
I shook my head, to which her nostrils flared.
This is getting ridiculous, Lyle. When are you going to buck up and ask her out on a date? You've tried to use your pony form to get closer to her and break the ice 4 times already, without any success, I might add. You know that I can only use a circular ritual on one person every 24 hours. And now you've put my schedule for experimenting with witchcraft behind by 4 days.
Yeah, bad mistake on my part. One thing you learn about having Angela as a friend, do not get between her and witchery. Ever since she figured out she could transform people into animals, ponies mainly, with a spell she found on the internet, she's been obsessed with it. Half the stuff she talks to me about these days are experiments she's been trying or wanting to try using circle magic. I groaned.
I'm sorry, I really am. I don't know how to really ask Emily out on a date. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Go up to her as a pony and say, "Hey, Emily, I just wanted you to know that I'm actually a human who goes to your school, and I wanted to ask you out on a date. Does Friday sound nice?"
Angela shrugged nonchalantly.
Sounds like it'd work to me.
No, it wouldn't.
I groaned again.
Even if it did, I'm afraid Emily will only date me because I can become a pony, not because she really wants to get to know me as a person.
Bang!
Ouch!
If the previous headbanging I did against my locker hadn't left a mark, I think that last one did. I winced as I rubbed the sore spot on my forehead.
Now that I think about it, I'm not sure going pony form will work without a risk of Emily going out with me just because I was a pony.
Angela smirked.
I seriously doubt Emily would, but most of your fears are a bit irrational anyways.
She giggled mischievously.
Well, if that won't work, there's only one thing to do to fix this. Follow me.
She suddenly grabbed a hold of my arm and started running down the hallway with me in tow.
Whoa, hey!
I yelped as I was dragged along.
Where are we going?
Angela paid my inquiry no mind as she weaved the two of us through the hallways.
through the crowds of students that acted like corks in the flow of students who liked to show up to class on time. A few hallways later, Angela slowed down, allowing me to regain my footing on solid ground. I do have to say, despite her being small, Angela certainly had a lot more arm strength than I did. I wonder if she did any witchery enchanting on herself to get that result. Oh, sorry, mind wandering. Back to the present we go. Though we did slow down to a walk, Angela did still have a firm grip on my arm. She walked down the hallway, as she then waved to someone with her free arm.
Oh, Emily!
She called, in a sing-song voice. My gut instantly jumped to my throat.
Oh, crap. Angela isn't doing what I think she's doing, is she?
I glanced past Angela, and sure enough, standing right there was the girl I had been hopelessly crushing on for the past few months. She was by an open locker with two of her other female friends. Unfortunately, Emily heard Angela's call and turned towards us. Upon seeing Angela, who she thought of as a semi-close friend, Emily waved to her, but she stopped when she noticed me being dragged behind the full pink girl.
Oh, hi, Angela.
Emily replied as we stopped just before her. By this time, I was trying to back away, like any sane person whose nerves are on the fritz. But Angela's grip held me in place, so fleeing wasn't an option. Angela smiled in her overly chipper way.
I'd like you to meet a friend, Emily.
She pulled me right between herself and Emily, to which I almost lost my balance again. Seriously, Angela was really stronger than she looks. Angela smirked in satisfaction as my body froze in nervousness, finding myself only about a foot away from Emily, probably the closest I've ever gotten to her in human form.
This is Lyle, and he's got something he wants to ask you.
She promptly elbowed me in the ribs to knock me out of my nervous shock.
Don't you, Lyle?
I hesitated. Standing right before me was the girl I had been crushing on for so long now. For the past weeks, I had been trying to go through an elaborate way to meet her as a person and ask her out, but with no success. Yet, here I was, with the perfect opportunity to ask her out, without any fear that she'd only want to date a guy who became a pony. All I had to do was walk up to her and ask? Of course, there was one problem. I couldn't get the words to come out. You... As I fumbled with speech, Emily's expression changed from one of confusion to one that read,
Are you completely alright, or do you need a mental hospital?
Angela shot me a glare out of the corner of my eye, hissing under her breath,
Come on, Lyle. Do not back down again. Not this time.
I shook my head, trying to regain some of my flabbergasted composure.
Emily, I'm Lyle.
I felt like face-palming.
She already knew that.
But thankfully that made her confused expression return at least.
Yes, I heard that.
I chuckled sheepishly. This was getting incredibly difficult for me. I wasn't joking when I said I was bad with girls. This is the proof of that. I needed to ask her out quickly, before she saw the torrent of sweat running down the back of my neck.
Oh, yeah, well... Come on, you big dummy. You can do this. I was wondering... Would you like to go out on a date with me? No, stupid! Don't ask her that quickly! She probably didn't hear that. Now you just have to ask her again. Now you have to ask her again, but now she'll think you're just a nervous wreck. Way to go!
But to my surprise, Emily did catch the whole outburst. She blinked in surprise.
Oh, a date?
I only nodded, probably because I didn't think to use my mouth to speak. Emily gave me a confused look as she thought for a moment, but then she gave the sweetest smile that threatened to turn my knees to jelly when I looked at her.
Yeah, sure. When is the date?
I felt my jaw drop.
Seriously? All I had to do was go up to her and ask her out? Why didn't anyone tell me it was this easy to get a date with a girl? I guess I owe Angela for dragging me here.
I felt a smile come to my mouth.
What about this Friday night?
Tomorrow night?
Emily frowned as she considered it, pursing her lips in the cutest way ever. She smiled again.
Sure, why not?
I beamed.
Really? Great!
couldn't believe it. This had to be a dream, because it felt too good to be true. Maybe I should pinch myself to see if I'd wake up. Well, I'd actually rather not risk waking myself up from this. I'd be extremely butthurt if this was just a dream. Emily and I spent the next minute exchanging contact information, so we could call each other's cell phones to fill in on the details of the date. Oh yeah, I should probably figure out what to do for the date. Never thought I'd get this far. Of course, as soon as we exchanged numbers, the school bell rang, signaling the beginning of class. Emily gave me another quick smile.
Oh, I better get to class. I'll see you tomorrow, Lyle.
She walked off down the hallway, waving as she left. I chuckled, waving goodbye.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
I sighed in relief. I had actually done it. I had a date with Emily, and I didn't even have to use witchery to help me. I turned to Angela, who had a big smirk on her face that read,
I told you so.
I sighed.
All right, I guess I owe you one.
Angela only smiled mischievously, feigning a sense of wickedness.
Oh, no. You owe me several. I just need to figure out a way for you to pay your debts to me.
I shook my head as I sighed.
Fine, but I've got to get to class.
I ran down the hallways, since I was already tardy. I waved back to her.
I'll see you after class, Angela, and thanks.
Angela waved back to me, a bright smile on her face. Of course, once I was out of sight, that smile drooped a bit. Angela bit her lip temperamentally.
Just a normal date? That's no fun.
Suddenly, a massive grin grew on her face.
But fortunately for Lyle, I think I know how to make it all better.
Angela sat in the school library, nibbling on the eraser of her pencil as she looked down at her open notebook. Her brow furrowed as her eyes wandered across the design she had drawn on its open page. The design itself was a circle of little sigils that formed its round shape. The rune required to use a circle ritual. At the moment, Angela was trying to modify the design in order to slightly change the effects of the ritual. Angela mumbled the details of the circle to herself.
Day-long transformation, lasts 24 hours, slower transition phase to avoid pain to transforming recipient. But how do I change it to target 2 people at once?
She sighed to herself as she puzzled over her predicament. This was the problem with circle rituals. The one using the spell could only activate a ritual once every 24 hours, after their internal magical energy, otherwise known as chi to Asian cultures, regenerates. So, Angela found her only problem was, in order for her plan to work, she needed to find a way to cast the transformation onto 2 people at once, so they'd both be in pony form at the same time. Angela sighed.
Messing around with circle designs has always been a pain. Not only is it dangerous if I get it wrong, but it's just confusing to integrate everything together into a working ritual.
She grumbled under her breath.
So how do I do this?
Hey, I can help. A voice quietly spoke from behind. Angela whirled around in her seat to see who had spoken, only to find a guy standing there. He looked like he was a junior, age-wise, and had short blonde hair that drooped down in disheveled bangs. He wore a black hoodie and dark jeans, as well as a pair of headphones, the cord running up the neck of his shirt, wrapping around the back of his neck. Angela blinked in surprise at the newcomer.
What?
You're trying to double the targets of a single circle ritual, right? He asked, pointing to her open notebook. I think he can help you.
Well, he knew it was for a circle ritual, so he either guessed or knew what he's talking about. If he knows what circle magic is, then he probably doesn't have much room to call me a witch around school.
Angela thought to herself.
I guess there's no harm in it, seeing as I could spot out any mistakes he'd make. I should at least let him try.
She nodded to the newcomer.
Sure, knock yourself out.
The boy took a seat in the chair beside Angela, and she scooted her notebook over to him, handing him the pencil she'd been using. By the way, the guy said as he began jotting things down on the paper, I'm Ben.
Angela,
she replied. Angela peered over at Ben's hand as he quickly drew in a few things onto the circle ritual's design. To her surprise, Angela noticed he was adding more sigils to the design, as if he knew them like the back of his hand. She asked in a hushed voice.
So you're into witchery as well?
Ben shrugged. That among a lot of things, though I haven't used a spell like this before. I write fantasy, so it helps my stories to know the supernatural things. Also, word to the wise, don't ever go down the necromancy path if you haven't yet.
I'll keep that in mind.
Angela hummed innocently. She had already researched necromancy, only to find out that what was available was hogwash. Oh well, witchery was more enjoyable anyways. It didn't require you to be gothic and such, and Angela wasn't ready to give up the color pink from her attire yet. There, finished, Ben announced, placing the pencil down. Angela looked over at the design, only to find her eyes widening.
Oh wow, why didn't I think of that before? Doubling the sigils inside the circle, but only the ones pertaining to the transformation. This could work.
She turned to Ben.
Thanks. But why are you helping me with something like this?
Ben paused for a second, but then shrugged. Well, I heard around school that you were some kind of witch or something of the sort. I was interested, so I wanted to meet you. Angela smiled.
Thanks, Ben.
No problem. Ben glanced back at the circle design he had made. But what are you going to use it for?
Oh, nothing. A friend of mine has a date with a girl he's been crushing on for months, so I'm going to do him a favor and make it fun for both of them.
Angela replied nonchalantly. Ben raised an eyebrow. And being transformed into an animal is fun how? Angela grinned.
Because they won't just be any animals. I'm turning the two of them into pastel-colored cartoon ponies.
Ben blinked in surprise. You're a Pegasister?
Yes.
A small smile twitched at the corner of Ben's mouth. Could I, by any chance, help activate the ritual when you're using it? I think the added sigils will require more than just your own chi to activate. Angela giggled.
Sure, why not? But I'm activating it early in the morning. Show up at my house tomorrow morning before school, at around 5. Are you a morning person by chance?
No, Ben replied flatly. But I'm used to pulling all-nighters, which actually keeps me more awake than only a few hours of sleep.
Great. I'll give you my address.
Angela beamed before raising a fist up in front of Ben.
Brohoof?
Ben only smirked. Brohoof. And so, the two arcane maniacs bumped fists, united in the single cause of screwing over two certain individuals who were going to have a nasty wake-up call in the morning.